I thought I was recording all of that, what I said before, but I clearly have not been. I've only just realised that. So we're starting to record now. I'm going to share with you my screen. Hopefully you can see it. Trying to expand the view. Well, let's go into slide mode. Bear with me. Right. Hopefully you can see that slide. Okay. So what I said before, I'll try and say at the end, just as a recap, so that I'm not repeating what you've just heard for the last 2-3 minutes, but just to recap so that we hopefully that are clear, and that you hopefully will feel reassured moving forward how to see completing the module in your assignment. Okay, so you should be seeing your poster marks or grades and the feedback on Moodle. There appears to be something with the settings that I need to follow up so that you can see your grades and the feedback. So please leave that with me and trust that I will follow it up after this session. I have flagged it up for Moodle support to see if there's a way that they can help with this. And because they've had some maintenance going on, I suspect that I will hear in the near future, but before that I will look into it myself to see if there's something I can figure out. In the meantime, there are just a few bullet points, and then I really think it's helpful to have some Q&As, any queries that I haven't you know, addressed that you would like to raise. And Shirley, please feel free to chip in at any time. There are only about 4 or 5 slides here, but these are just bullet points. So I hope that we can discuss and then see how we move forward. So in the orange, as you see, what I've tried to remind ourselves and remind everyone is that actually you started working from the beginning in your preparations with your online recording in your e-portfolio, your logs, and then preparations for your posters. You've been preparing for your academic reflective journal and the experience, you know, leading up to the second component. So it's been an ongoing process, and I hope that, you know, you can feel confident that you've actually started the process already. The feedback from the poster is designed to commend you on the strengths, acknowledge the strengths that you have in the way that you've arranged the information and the way that you've responded to the assessment criteria. And then the feedback also highlights areas for improvement that then link with things to think about reviewing for your writing assignment, your written assignment. And so you will see it, if it's not divided into 3 distinctive parts, which most of them are, it will be embedded, incorporated into the feedback. So please do look at the feedback and reflect on what you have done for your posters and what you have been researching in your reading so far. There is a recording of slides that were addressing the reflective writing and preparing for the academic reflective journal. I'm not sure if everyone has seen it or had a chance to listen to the recording. It's a YouTube link, and if you scroll down on Moodle to the 23rd of March, you'll see that it's there. I didn't want to repeat anything from that presentation, but I would encourage you to go back and have a look at that and see how that can support you in thinking about improving and furthering what you've done so far to get the best out of the next part of this assessment for the module. I've got 2 slides. The first one, I just put some questions, frequently asked questions. I thought, well, Shirley and I hear quite often. I might even have missed 1 or 2. So Shirley, do feel free to add to that, and I'll just type them in. But these are some of the questions that do come up when students are thinking about the structure of the written assignment and what to include. So if you have a look through there, I've tried to put them in different colors to make them stand out. Can I use subheadings? Well, the answer to that is yes. You do want to make clear the structure. The structure guidelines are there on Moodle. If you look in the assessment block, you'll see some information there to guide you. You should have a title. This is something that Shirley and I find often, is that students forget that the focus topic needs to have a title. And I think really that helps the reader understand the structure of what you are going to be presenting to us and what your main focus is going to be. So it does help to introduce that to us. So it should have a title. And it isn't enough, as I've tried to say there, to just write focus topic. So the title will help you structure that main component, the middle section. If you were to think of your written component as 3 sections, first section is a general introduction, excuse me, to the setting. This is something that your poster will help inform, and the work that you've done on your e-portfolio as well. And then the main body will be reflecting on the area that you wanted to focus on, and make that as narrow it down as much as possible so that you can help yourself by not getting lost and going over the word count for your assignment, and keeping your focus, maintaining that focus. And then the third section is to have a general conclusion about the experience, but you can reiterate, go back to certain key things that you have stood out for you about the experience, so as to sort of close the loop. And each section needs to have references. So I've just, in a nutshell, tried to give you an overview of the structure, but do go back to the 23rd of March slides and to the criteria and the guidelines that are in the assessment block on Moodle. How many references should I include? That question always pops up. And I think there isn't a definitive answer to say you should have 5 or 10. Some people put a lot of references in because they're very good at paraphrasing. But what I think is important, and I hope that I haven't missed anything out in my response, but what I think is important is that you have a balance, and that you remember that the balance needs to show that you are incorporating your observations, but also you are informing what you're writing by your research of literature to support. So that's why I think it's important to think about your approach. And when I come to the last slide about don't forget, the points that I'm listing in that slide, I can come back to what I'm stopping myself from saying at this point, but it will lead to you thinking about how you review what you've written. And that's a sort of clue. What if there have been no observations? In these unusual circumstances, and adapting and sort of making the requirements a bit more relaxed, as it were, there are students who have still not been able to carry out enough observations, 1 or 2 who haven't had any observations. So that does raise a question. And I think what you need to think about your written assignment, because you can still progress, don't forget, with having completed the assessment components, which is your poster presentation and the reflective journal, and then be sure to confirm following up the placement practice-based element later. So you can progress if you complete the poster and the reflective journal, and you pass those, of course. So if you have no observations, then what I've written there in purple suggests more of a theoretical approach, but it doesn't take away from the fact that you need to demonstrate how you're thinking about carrying out observations, what observations would be helpful to carry out in light of what you know about the setting and the literature that you've reviewed. So there are two things there that you cannot avoid or ignore, even if you have not carried out observations. One is you've got to do some background work on your setting, and that means do some research about it so that you know it well enough. The other is the research carries on with your reading, and that's absolutely important to helping you to understand ways in which you can link things that you know about your setting and observations that you think would be helpful to support your knowledge and understanding about key areas that you're interested to focus on. So you can still focus on an area of interest, but it's more of a theoretical approach. And that may come in handy for some people who want to think about dissertations for next year. So this is something that shouldn't be foreign to you, it shouldn't be unfamiliar. You're doing this for your assignments anyway, and this is just relating it very much to practice, what you are reading about and how you know your setting well enough. Hope that's clear. Do I write in the first or third person? There's always a response here that I have, which is as long as you can have the distance and be as objective as possible, in theory, there is no problem with writing in the first person. But generally, I think, I don't know, maybe Shirley, you and I may agree on this, the third person is more useful.
Yeah, well, it is, but I would say in this, when students are talking about what they expect to gain from their placement and then reflect on what they have gained, they have to use the first person.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
And I mean, we're not expecting you to write about yourself as if you're someone else, so don't be worried about that.
Yeah. No, I think I'll edit that in a moment because I think that's important. You're absolutely right. The third person usually helps us to have the academic distancing. Sometimes students, when they're talking about the observations they carried out, forget that actually they're trying to relate this to literature and not have a personal reaction to or sort of relate too personally to it. But as Shirley says quite rightly, you know, you are reflecting on this. So the first person is very important to helping you to do that. So just keep that in the back of your mind, is the observations are what you discovered, but it has to be as objective as possible based on how you found things. And yes, of course, in the third section and the first section, you are relating very personally to what you hope to look for, what you anticipate, based on setting out on the journey of carrying out the placement, and then at the end, what you found in from your experience of carrying out the placement, what surprises, what insights you've gained that you hadn't anticipated. So that would very much be in the first person. Yes, thank you, Shirley. That's really important. Is it possible?
Can I just make another point, Mona?
Oh yes, please do.
Sorry. It's just about, I think you're absolutely right to say that middle section, the focus topic, is as much as possible in the third person so that it doesn't become just too personal. And the other thing is, I think students have to remember that they're going in as undergraduates, that they're not experts. So you have to be very careful when you're talking about, say, a classroom teacher or a teaching assistant, in that you're not being critical from your own personal viewpoint, because you are not an expert at this point in time. You are simply an undergraduate doing a project.
Yes, that's very important. And I think that's where your reading of the literature is very helpful and important to your insights that you gain. So it is very much about what insights have you gained and how would you evaluate what you have seen based on what you have researched. So it's not a research project as it would be for your dissertation, because that's a different ball game, but you're still carrying out research of literature. That's important to remember. And I think that's a very clear distinction that I want to make, is that all along your degree process, you are developing and becoming more confident as potential researchers in education. and you know, that's culminated in and consolidated in your dissertation in year 3. So this is really the sort of the testing ground for you to see how, based on what you know so far and what you're looking into, you can help inform yourself better about the practice and some of the areas that you think are really good and some of the areas that, you know, could really do well with being improved upon based on the knowledge that you have from your reading of the literature. And I think that's important. So absolutely, you are undergraduate students and you are having a privileged position of being able to observe and gain insights into the field. So it is a privileged position. And so do please remember that. That's a really good point. Thank you, Shirley, for raising that. Is it possible to discuss particular individuals observed? Well, we've said in the past, and the reason I mention this is sometimes students see things and they then want to focus on particular subjects. And I'm trying to just bear in mind at this moment that we talk about school settings, but they're not the only settings that students are on placement. So it relates to all setting experiences. And what we want to avoid is making the focus topic focus on an individual. If you are talking about a professional in the setting, you want to maintain that focus about the professional without over personalizing the individual professional that you have seen. You know, it's like coping with behavior management through, you know, strategies for literacy or whatever the focus topic is, or how the TA, you know, role affects learning for students with additional needs in a setting which is learning outdoors or something like that. So I think what I'm trying to say here is try not to make it a case study, because you're not really in a position to be able to do that. There are all sorts of ethical implications, but you can illustrate by way of examples of what you have seen, and that's different, because what you're trying to talk about is an area of learning or an area of interest to education that is supported by your observations of examples of what you've seen, as opposed to pupil X. This is the story of pupil X. This is the context of pupil X. And this is what I saw about pupil X. And that gives me these reasons to believe that pupil X should be supported in these ways. Do you see that I'm trying to sort of make it distinct? Whereas you could say, you know, something about particular learning activity and how pupil X helped to illustrate ways in which the learning strategies that were employed encouraged interaction, encouraged confidence, supported the adult to initiate the activities, or vice versa, that sort of helped to support the pupil X to feel more confident about initiating responses and leading their, you know, having a part to play in their own learning. So I hope that sort of helps. If there are any queries, then I will look at the text, the chat, or you can certainly pop in and unmute yourselves and ask questions at any point. So don't feel like you have to leave it to the end. The final slide, the don't forget slide, and there might be some more things, but I just thought it would be useful to have a reminder, and you may already be engaged in one or many or all of these areas, so that's an asset. But it's sometimes good to state the obvious too, as we all know. Please check the criteria. That's a very useful way to help you to see what you're aiming for to do well. We want you to do well, and I know you want to do your best. So checking the writing criteria for a reflective piece of work is always helpful. it gives you ways of sort of setting your goals and being clear about how to sort of address those areas that you want to reach if you want to get into those particular grade marks that you're aiming for. Avoid being too descriptive. There are occasions where students get caught up in writing about what they've seen and not stepping back from that. And then what the outcome of that is what we find is that the writing, reflective though it is, it's not as reflective as it could be in the academic sense, because what you've done is actually given an account of what you've seen and how you felt about that maybe, but without actually supporting it with the sort of the analysis and the distancing that would come if you look to the literature and try to see how you can interpret what you've observed based on the reading that you've done. Write more than one draft, and previous... Oh, sorry. Oh, Dina, you're there. Nice to see you. Lauren, outdoors. Beautiful sunshine. That's wonderful. Nice to see you.
I told you I'll be here in
Thank
person.
you. Thank you so much. If others feel that they'd like to share how they're looking at their background, it's not virtual, it might be in the garden. Oh, Khadija, nice to see you.
Yeah, we're missing you all, actually. It's nice to see you. We're really missing you.
Absolutely. You see, seeing your faces makes this more real as an experience. Otherwise, everything is in the abstract, isn't it? There's nothing quite like making it more personable and seeing people. That's wonderful. Thank you for that. I've sort of overcome oh, I'm recording this. Oh, well, I'm saying it now. But I've overcome my own, you know, fears of technology, of showing myself and talking to camera, which I absolutely was, you know, talk about stage fright. I'm, you know, this is probably what some people feel when they have to go on stage and perform in front of people. But I have to say, I've had to forget about all of that and try and just confront my fears and get on with things. So on that note, let me just finish this slide and then I'll open up for discussion. So please do leave time to have more than one draft. This is very much linking with what I said earlier, that there was a clue in terms of your feedback from your posters. Please read the feedback, and I will follow up why it's not showing at the moment on Moodle. But please read the feedback. There's quite a lot of information there to reflect on, pardon pun. And then think about how you can plan and structure your writing and go back to what you've written. Don't submit the first draft. And in red, proofread your work. There are some slippages some people made on their posters that could have been easily avoided. And the same applies to writing. We're all subject to making those errors because we're in the thick of writing and we don't sort of step back to see it in that moment in time. So that's why time is absolutely imperative. Time management. Leave time to review and proofread your work. And that follows on to the next point. Check your references are accurately cited. And if you do set something, you know, in your bibliography, make sure that you've referred to it in the body of your work, and vice versa. If you've included a reference, don't forget to list it in your reference list or your bibliography. We will pick up on that, and it affects the quality of your work. So it, you know, you're wanting to give an academic piece of work in that is also professional, and these are the little bits that make it, you know, more polished. So please try to leave time to proofread, check your references, and that goes to the next point in blue, studiosity. I don't know how many of you have been engaging with this. We're told that lots of students are finding studiosity helpful, that they're engaging with it. I do hope that you are taking advantage of that. It seems to be very useful. Your e-portfolios, if you feel that you haven't had much feedback, please prompt us. There's been a bit of a lull because of all the things that we've had to catch up on with technology and the circumstances that we're in. So some areas, you know, we may have fallen back on, I myself, you know, in terms of giving feedback on e-portfolios. Please, if you don't mind, work with us, prompt me, prompt Shirley, if it helps you to get some feedback on what you've written. And we will do our best, and bear with us, please. AA team workshops, there have been some workshops. I don't know, this might also be an opportunity for you to say how you've been finding these, the support that's been available to you. The AA team seem to be doing an amazing job creating lots of workshop opportunities and online Zoom sessions. So it'd be good to know if you've been taking advantage of that. And if you haven't, you might find it useful. Conversation with a student yesterday, one of my AGTs said that she actually wanted to do to approach the AA team. So you don't need to wait for us to tell you or suggest that you go. You know, if you think that there are areas, or you see from your feedback that there are areas you can improve on, please look up the AA team and you'll find them on the library website. All their sessions are listed there, which leads to the next point, the library online resources. One of the outcomes of all of this is that many publishers and online databases are providing links free. So I'm hoping that you have good access to internet and that you're able to take advantage of all the things that are available online for you. That will also help to inform your reflections and not make you feel hopefully anxious about finding references. So, and the library team are all too happy to help and support with any queries, or if you are experiencing difficulties trying to access material, to raise that, flag that up. And finally, do get in touch with us with any queries after this session. For next week, which will be the last week of teaching formally, I'll try to have another Zoom session if you will find that helpful, or else you could, we can also review sections of your work, an outline of a plan that you might want Shirley or I to look at. So please email, I almost said text, that's a bit, sorry for that. Email your seminar tutor and ask for feedback on, you know, your outline or a paragraph or two that you've been writing for some points. So that's my last slide. Is there anything that I haven't raised, or if there's anything that I've raised that has prompted you to think of a question that you might have that's popped up in your mind, then now would be the time to raise it. Any questions?
I think I'm okay for now, but I'm just checking something.
Okay. I'll stop sharing the slides for the moment so that I can see anything that you're putting in the chat section, because I can't see the group chat when I'm sharing the slides. Okay, so hi Shanika, good to see you. Sorry I didn't see you earlier. Gabrielle, Damaris, Annabelle, any questions?
Hi, I've got a question, Mina.
Yes, Natalia.
When will we have time to do like tutorials with you and Shirley to speak about the reflective journal?
Where or when? Sorry, I didn't quite catch the first part of your question.
When will I have time to book tutorials? Like, when is the limit?
You mean after next week?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. That's a question that we have actually been discussing as a team. I'm putting together something for all students, but it's a good question to ask. And the response to that question is that it will be very much at the discretion of tutors and their availability.
Okay.
So what we as staff have to do during this time is balance our time so that we can take our leave, because we're all entitled to take leave during the year, but we don't always have the opportunity to take leave when students have their leave, if that makes sense. Yeah. So when teaching finishes, some staff may be on leave, some you know, other commitments are taken up with meetings and university business. So it's not like we completely go away, but we're not formally following the taught sessions as we would be when the semester's running. So my response would be, contact your seminar tutor, ask them if they are available, if you can arrange a time, or if they can, if it's just to look and give feedback, to send that to your tutor.
Okay.
The issue I just want to add as a footnote to that is that I hope that you will bear with us with the response rate.
Yeah,
Generally speaking, we like to respond. We say that we respond within 48 hours, you know, under normal conditions and as in the best possible way. And we try not to slip up too much on that. That's the aim. But in the current climate, we actually, I think most all of us are pretty much doing very well to respond. But there may be times when the response may not be immediate. So I don't want students to feel that they should panic and then try to reach out elsewhere. Just give it a little while. If you still don't hear, please send a prompt email, you know, an email to prompt politely. And if you still don't hear after that, then get in touch with the next person. So if it's the module convener, or if it's your AGT, you can raise your query as to, you know, I haven't heard from my tutor, I've written an email, I've given it some time, but I wonder if you can help me with the query I have. Yeah, and they can then see who can respond and just sort of, you know, delegate, sort of take it further.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks for the question. Any other questions?
I'm okay. I don't have any questions.
Okay, Dina, that's good to hear. That's good. Well, hopefully that's, yeah, if you feel happy with where you're at the moment in your preparations.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Well, that's
I'll email if anything.
okay. That's good. That's good to hear. Damaris, how about you?
Hi, Muna.
Hi, Damaris.
At the moment, I'm feeling fine about what I'm writing, but if I do have any queries, I'll probably email you.
Okay, that's fine.
At the moment, it's going well, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Are you able to access things online? Okay.
Yeah, I have been. Yeah, Moodle's been really helpful. So.
Well, that's good to know. That's very helpful to know. I know there's been a lot of effort across the team engaging on Moodle and trying to compensate for not having the face-to-face talk sessions and teaching remotely. So it's always good to have that feedback as well, that it's helping. Annabelle, do you have any, where are you at in terms of your work? How are you doing?
I could finish my placement. So before the coronavirus, I finished it. So
okay, good.
Sorry?
You finished it? Or you
yes,
finished it?
No, I finished it.
Well,
so I have everything done. So I just have to submit it the papers, the EPF, I think.
That's really good.
Yes, so the only problem that I have now is with the poster, but I'm gonna email you after the Zoom meeting. So for now, it's fine. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I appreciate your showing as Annabelle, and I refer to you as Paola, so I just confused myself, but I realized what's happened, so that's fine. I think you've reminded me something about documents and about submission dates and so on, and certainly for those who need to defer, has the information been clear about the way that the module has been adapted to support you?
Yeah.
Are you clear about things?
Yeah, I think I mean I did defer, but I think I'm gonna try, and because I don't know, I mean, I can use, obviously I haven't been to my placement, but I'm going to be using their website and research. So I just reference the website in terms of, because they've got videos and stuff on their website. Do I reference that?
I think that's helpful. I think you have to use everything that's available to you. So the fact that they have a website that's very proactive and there's information there is great. I would add something further. Try to contact I don't know if which one of those contacts you're referring to as your lead contact, because there's quite a few from your placement.
Yeah.
But I think it may be worth just touching base and seeing how they're doing, how things are, showing an interest, and then seeing from your response if there's a way that you can have conversations with them, so that if you have queries, you can raise queries with them about their practice, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
That might be another way of getting some further insight.
Okay.
I mean, Susie's quite good at responding, I think. So maybe try her.
Okay.
Hi, Mehwish.
Hello, Muna.
Better late than never. It's good to see you.
Sorry.
It's okay. Let me just go through others and Khadija, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
You're doing good.
Yeah.
Okay, you're always a minimalist. You kind of keep it short and sweet. But I think you've completed your placement, haven't you?
Yeah.
Okay, and are you in the position where you're feeling confident and clear and comfortable with all the details and approaches that you're taking?
I just wanted to ask a question. Is there
Please do.
a title for the assignment?
Sorry?
Is there a title for the assignment?
Yes, you mean the reflective writing?
Yeah.
Yes, there is a title. So I think what you can say, I mean, what we have done in the past is academic reflective journal, right? And you could put your focus topic at the top even.
Okay.
Right? So you could...
Muna,
yes.
On that Word document that you sent out, it gives the structure of the piece of work, and it tells very clearly what the overall title is and then what the subheadings are.
Yes, thank you.
So if Khadija could have a look at that, that would help.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Shirley. I often forget sometimes what I've put up there myself.
Well, you put a lot of information which is really useful, but I was just looking at that this morning to remind myself, so that's why I know. So if you have a look at that, Khadija, it is so clear. It's just that one Word document, and it sets it out really clearly for you. I found it extremely helpful.
Thank you, Shirley. No, I mean, we do our best, right? And then we forget what we've done ourselves. But yes, please, please have a look at that. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Ask. Yes, Dina.
So are we? It is a reflective journal. So do we also have to reference any or do any reading on reflectives, or no?
No, I don't think you're writing about what it is to write reflectively, if that's what you're asking. What you're doing is actually showing your reader that you're not just writing what you've recorded and talking about what you've recorded in the sense of this is what I saw, right?
Yeah.
But you're also trying to make connections and links between what you saw and how you can interpret that from what you've read. You know, what interpretations can you make? And in that process of trying to interpret meaning from what you've seen, you are inevitably going to be reflecting on what you've seen, right?
Yeah.
And thinking, showing how your thoughts, your reasoning through that, think ethical dilemmas, what we've been talking about, the process of reasoning, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need to show your reasoning in terms of it, what you've seen and the connections that you make. What are the links with the literature? And then, I mean, this is the part that really wins you the sort of brownie points, right? Because you want to extend from that what further meanings, what you can take away from that. So it's one thing to say that you've seen something, another to say I can make links with what I've seen to what I've read, and then further to that, well, what does that tell me then about what it is I've observed?
Okay, so in terms of the referencing for the reflective, it would be obviously referencing from the actual source as well as what our focus topic is based on. Does that make sense?
I think what you might be overthinking a little bit, Dina, but it's fine, because I think it just shows that you're processing things and you're reflecting on it, right?
Okay.
But but on a serious note, I think your question is actually just what it is Shirley and I are trying to make explicit the processes involved. But what you're doing will become natural to you, because what you're trying to do in your privileged position as an observer is say how your observations can be understood based on what you have gathered from your reading of the literature, and what that could help the reader gain insight into based on what you have understood. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you want an example?
Well, maybe, I mean, this is the point maybe where you have a go at writing something and then maybe send an extract to me or to Muna to have a look at. Sometimes it's helpful to do that, to actually have a go at doing it.
Yeah.
And then send it, and then we can give you feedback.
Do you know, that really helps. It helps you understand what you've written. Like, for example, when we write our essays, we just think they don't make sense. I sent my journal off to Shirley and she helped me so much. Thank you, Shirley.
That's all right. You're very welcome. You've obviously been working hard and you sent it to me quickly. So you got me at a free moment. Well done, you.
Well done. Do you know, and this is the beauty of you know, when you reflect back on your experience and you think, if I look at my work in year one now, there's so much I would say about it, right? Because I've come a long way. You know, I'm now in second year, and when you get to year 3, you're going to look back at year 2 and think, wow, I have come such a long way. What was I thinking there?
I think the second year is the most stressfulest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's more kind of, you know, you're not quite at the finishing line,
but we're nearly
there.
Come
a long way, but you're nearly there. Yes, absolutely. So I think, yeah, it's a very good point.
This time, Dina will be graduating.
I know. Yeah, absolutely. And can I just say, thinking about going into year 3, sending off work to get feedback is a really useful experience to have now, because you will get that in year 3 with your dissertation. And sometimes students find it quite difficult to get that feedback and think it's a criticism. Actually, what we're trying to do is improve your work, but none of us likes to get that, but we have to just sit back and think, oh yes, okay, I get it, they are right.
even at our level, where people are publishing articles and we get feedback, and the feedback asks us to work further on what we've done. We feel exactly like you, and we think, I spent hours doing exactly. So, but it's very sobering, and you should see it, as Shirley says, as very constructive, because what we want you to do is raise the bar. You know, we want you to raise your game, and to do that, you've got to be prepared to take the constructive comments and see them as constructive. So, and it is always difficult to see things beyond your nose, right? So if you've been involved in the thick of writing, you may not have had that distance to see something that your tutor definitely will pick up on.
Yeah.
And you will pick up on later on if you come back to it, hopefully, right? Which is why the time management thing, I think, is important, that you leave time to come back to something. But Shirley's point is absolutely spot on. Send something for us to look at, and then Dina, you won't be hopefully as worried as you might be right now about how you approach the writing.
Dina, what is your topic on?
Well, it's on a forest nursery. My placement was a forest nursery.
Continue.
And I think my focus topic is just going to be how they incorporate the curriculum into outdoor learning. But I think I might have to change it because
I had to change my
been, and I don't really know how I'm going to do that.
Curriculum and outdoor learning are big areas.
Yeah.
So try to sort of narrow it down.
Yeah.
Fabian is also at the same placement.
Yeah. If you need any help, just message me or email me. I'll sort of give you the information that I sort of experienced there. They do a lot on constructivism. Like their entire ethos is around like letting the kids get on with it and do what they want to do. Like when the kids get into fights and stuff, they sort of leave them to settle it themselves. They don't step in. So that's how seriously they take constructivism there. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I have a student who's doing her dissertation on forest schooling as well, and it'd be interesting to have a conversation with Fabian. Maybe set up a chat with each other.
Yeah, I've got your email, Fabian, because from before.
Yeah. So then maybe you can Zoom chat each other and have a chat about your experiences. So
sure, that's fine. If you need the help.
Yeah, I mean, obviously your focus topics are your focus topics. And your insights are your insights, so you can't really replicate because well, I think because of the way that I'm assuming each of us will have ways of responding to the way that we see or we understand the philosophies or the approaches to the teaching and learning that we see. So and our reading may be varied as well, and that will inform too. So but as much as you can support each other, that's really helpful.
Yeah,
Muna, I have a question about
very much, Fabian, by the way.
No problem.
Yeah, sorry, Mehwish.
It's all right. My first I did safeguarding, and Shirley said that I should broaden it, so I changed it to behaviour. So how my setting implements positive behaviour strategies in Key Stage 1.
Oh, good.
Is that
because I didn't really say broaden it. I said you're chosen a really difficult topic because it was difficult to observe. You were really writing about policy, so I'm really glad you made that change.
Yeah, will that be okay for my focus topic?
Yeah, that sounds much better. Much better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've narrowed it down, and it's also something that needn't be too sensitive.
Yeah. Yeah, safeguarding is a difficult topic to choose for focus topic. So I'm glad you've moved away from that. Yeah. Well done.
Thank you.
I mean, yeah, for the space that you have to write on something, you need to be as focused or narrowing it down as much as possible, and not to create something that would be, as your first choice might be, lead you in all sorts of directions, you know. And that's
I can talk about rewarding children in order to something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, that's part of the policy, I presume, with the behaviour policy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, lots of schools have things like style charts or time, you know, it depends. So that's a really interesting thing to look at, and you'll find lots of links in the literature.
Yeah, I've had a look at that. Yeah.
Good.
Shanika, how are you? Thanks, Mehwish.
No worries.
Shanika, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay now.
Oh, good.
So obviously I started a bit later than everyone else because of moving and everything.
Yes.
But now I'm able to, I'll be able to complete it in time. And I think only for the poster.
Yeah.
For the poster, I had to defer it.
Okay.
But for this one, I'm fine. I spent enough time at the centre to know what to write about, because a lot happened each day because of how it was.
Yes, and you're in a particular setting. So in a PRU, you'll find that there are usually some topics that are very much associated or aligned with the kind of setting, right? Because if you're in a forest school, you might be talking about outdoor play more than you would in another setting, a student who's at another setting, and yours might be very much about strategies about behavior and learning and so on, and that might be linked with all sorts of areas. So what I'm leading to is try to narrow it down so that you've got a good focus to discuss and raise that. I mean, share that with myself or Shirley, in terms of, you know, whether your topic is focused enough for you to be able to address, like Mehwish's first topic, you know, was quite...
Yeah, my topic is quite similar, because I did want to talk about behavior.
I can help you if you want. I'm not the best, but if you email.
No, I'm so... You're such a good group, aren't you? You're so supportive. That's wonderful. Yeah. And actually, you know, in chatting with one another, I think what helps is you feel more reassured that you're not the only one, right? You're at different stages, but you can learn from each other's experiences, and that you can encourage each other this way. You know, it's like, well, I found this reference, you might find that useful. And that's extremely supportive, and it's really good. So thank you, Mehwish, for offering that. Shanika, I think have a think about your topic, and once you've got something noted down, pass that by one of us and see, you know, Shirley or I would have a glance over and you know, just reassure you you're on the right tracks and everything's okay, so you can carry on. Or what are you going to do, Shanika?
Sorry?
What was your topic? Is that your question, Mehwish?
I said, is she new?
No, I'm not new.
No. I think you're all now very experienced students. So, but you're at different stages. Stages of your placement, that is.
Yes, but yeah, I am quite confident though, because...
Excellent.
Yeah, because as I said, my setting was really, like, I witnessed so much in that time. I think I'd done maybe just over half of the 60 hours. And yeah, every day there was something new going on, and a lot around behavior management.
Yes, I can imagine.
They've done a lot of like taking lunches away and doing stuff like that, which altered their behavior a lot. So I think I have a lot to write about.
Okay, and that's why I'm saying, I mean, I'm sure that you're doing fine, and it's good that you've got your experience. I would just say, write down what you want to focus on and then run it by Shirley and I, so that we, you know, you're not writing too broadly or too much and then find yourself going over the 10% word count, because that can easily be done. Fabian, how are you doing? You all right?
Yeah, I'm okay. Everything's sort of a bit up in the air because of campaigning, but I'm sort of, now that I've just handed in some learning beyond the classroom, so moving on to this stuff next.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm doing okay. I'm still at uni, so I've got quite a lot of space to work with.
Right.
Oh, wow, you've got the whole campus.
Wow.
Well, I think there's like 4 people left in my building. I live in Chadwick.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, my dad and my brother are both really quite asthmatic, so I didn't want to go home just in case. I had it and give it to them.
Oh gosh, it just goes to show, doesn't it? That's very tricky. You've done tremendously well.
So are you able to walk around the campus, Fabian?
Yeah. Chadwick has its own little green area, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
But the Gleon students there have been taking the mick quite a lot and been going out in it in groups of like 10 and such, so tend to stay away from there.
Right.
But just sort of walk down to Richmond Park occasionally.
Okay.
But the campus is completely empty. I'm not sure I've seen anyone around for the last 2 weeks.
That must be so strange for you.
It is, it's weird. And the lack of planes is weird as well.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, because you're on the flight path. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. How surreal.
Mm.
It's good that the park actually is still open, that Richmond Park is still open. That's good.
Yeah, the roads through it are closed, but you can still like walk in and out of it.
That's fabulous.
That's good.
Well, at least there are these sort of green distractions, because, and at least you can still get out and walk about.
I'd go insane if I had to sit in that room all day.
Absolutely, I'm with you. I mean, I think, yes, there's only a certain point that is healthy to stay indoors, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and you need your vitamin D. You need to get out and get vitamin D.
Yes,
I was lucky enough to get one of the rooms with a small balcony on it, so I sit out
there. That's nice.
Very nice.
Good. Brilliant.
Okay, so is there anyone I've missed out? I hope not. Are we happy so far? If you've got any questions, you know, to write to us next week. I think for Monday, should we set up a time? Are you happy for Monday, or do you want to do it later in the week? Shirley, how are you for?
Well, I'm here next week.
Good. Okay.
Anything in the daytime. I've just got book club in the evening, but you know.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I've been making loads of banana loaf, as you can. Yeah. And honing my gardening skills, so and tidying up because I haven't had a chance to. Hence why the library's behind me. But no, it's really good to see everyone and to hear from everyone that's here. And please, you know, do keep in touch. I think that's the main thing, because being in isolation, you know, this is the thing we hold on to, is trying to touch base with one another from time to time. And it's always good to remember that you're part of an extended community here, so you're not on your own. Okay,
we can hope the lockdown doesn't extend for another 3 weeks.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've been reading stuff, as I'm sure you have, that makes me wonder where the finishing line for this period is going to be. I don't think anyone knows yet, do they?
No. You just have to be patient.
I think so. I mean, the sun's shining. There are people on hand to get in touch with. Mm-hmm. So I think that's important, and to just break up the day in a way that gives you some sense of where you can feel your blood flowing through your legs, and you're not sitting at the computer all day long, but also giving your mind a bit of a break as well. Yeah. So find ways that work for you.
Yeah. Will there definitely be another session next week?
I will schedule one. I mean, this isn't the whole group, and some people are maybe a bit Zoom shy, but you know, I will schedule a session. Whether that should be on Monday or later in the week, that was what I was trying to gauge with everyone.
What day is it today? Thursday.
It's Thursday. I could do it next Thursday, so it gives you a week to go away, think about what you're doing, and come back with any questions next Thursday. Would that work for everybody?
Yeah, I think that'll be good. It's just one of our I don't know what student was just resting, so she missed it, but I said that there's another one.
Oh, okay. Well, this is being recorded, so
yeah, I told her that.
And just ask her to have a look at the slides and listen into our very nice relaxed chat and feel reassured. And then if she's got queries, next week's fine. I've heard from other students by email, so I know that this isn't the whole group, but and I know people are making progress, and so that's good. It's always good to touch base anyway. Shirley, did you?
I did send you my text for the poster.
You did, and it's been looked at, and I've just had an email from Noor. So the settings will be adjusted so that you can see your posters and feedback. And your poster's everyone's has been marked that has submitted their poster.
Hey, Mona.
Yes. Hi, Paula. Oh no, Natalia. Sorry.
Gabby.
Oh my gosh. Do you know, I don't know what's wrong with me. I think this is all the technology. Sorry, Gabby.
No, I think it's the lockdown that's getting to you. You're all over the place. That's why you have
I could be wrong there. No.
That's why you have the wallpaper. I'm like, she's hiding something.
Definitely. There are boxes behind me. That's what I wanted to say.
These students can't know how I really live. Like, they can't know the truth.
Yeah, well, yeah, I started with a very blank wall because I moved everything to one side.
You need a green screen.
Exactly, yes. That's why I've got a very strange sort of...
position.
Yes, I kind of phase in and out, which is kind of surreal too.
No, that's cool. But I was just wondering, like, so for the grades for the presentation, you're going to email us right away once they fix that, right? Because I've been dying to know what I got on this the poster. I worked so hard on it, and I still have the poster. I don't even want to throw it out. It's like, I worked on that. That's Picasso's work right there. Like,
well, you should all feel very proud of your efforts and what you've done, and the whole, you know, this whole process is, and you know, it's hold on to your... I still got work.
And also I think there are still a lot of posters in my room.
Yes.
Yeah,
obviously I haven't been there, so they'll still be there when we go back.
They're collecting dust.
Yeah, we've got a cupboard full of, those of you who helped take some upstairs, Pro Bowl, there's a cupboard full, and it's really hard to throw things away because you can see the efforts that people have gone to. So
that cupboard is so full of posters.
Yeah.
Taking them back.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry, everyone, but I've got to go now. I just need to go and do something. But it's been really lovely to see you.
No, Shirley wants to live her life. That's it.
I love all the next Zoom meeting, Gabrielle. I've got another Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
So I need
no, it's okay. You can wink. You can wink. You have a film to watch on Netflix.
Our life is all Zoom. I mean, we're all zoomed away. It's like one Zoom after another. Yeah.
But take care, everybody, and do email me if you've got any questions, and I can always set up something or ring you or whatever. Okay.
Cool.
Thanks, Shirley.
Thank you, Shirley. Bye.
Hi, Shirley.
Okay, folks. No, that's great. Is there anything else that anyone wanted to say? Gabby, apologies for that earlier blip with the name.
No, it's okay. You always forget. It's fine. Like, this is just how it is. It's okay. Because once I start talking, you know who I am.
Yes. And you know the love is there. So that's...
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. No, what Shirley was saying earlier about how the structure was already on Moodle, it helped a lot because it's very plain and simple to follow. So it's like, I'm not confused at all. I can just follow that.
Oh,
before, in the beginning, like, I felt like I didn't know how to write this reflective journal at all, but there's a Word document that literally points out everything that needs to be said. I'm like, okay, I got this. Well, I haven't done it yet, but I got it.
Oh, well, look, I mean, the main thing is that it's clear and that you don't feel anxious about what you're setting upon. I mean, you know, what you're moving on to. And I think that's the key thing. And the next point is really to make sure that you've sort of arranged your time. I've just made a typo in something I've written, sorry. So there you go. That you arrange your time so that you don't feel overwhelmed, because when you feel overwhelmed, that's when, you know, stress levels go up. So I'm really reassured and pleased to hear that you're happy with your approach that you're taking and that you're clear about what you're doing. And I'm grateful to Shirley for reminding me as well that the information is all there. So that's good. Look, Fabian, also, I wanted to make a mention as we were speaking, and I didn't, but I will do that now, that he just hinted earlier in conversation that there's some elections going on. So do you want to have a spotlight for now to just share that?
If I'm allowed to, yeah.
Sure, I don't see a problem with that.
Just wanted to remind those who are here that the RSU elections are going on. You know, they're predicting the voting to be really, really low this year because, of course, there's no one around on campus and it's all being done electronically. I'm spending like 4 or 5 hours a day currently sitting on my computer just messaging people, which is fun.
Oh, crap.
It's incredibly boring work, but there we go. I'm running to be the next rebel president, and I I'm currently the deputy, so I'm looking for a promotion, if you like.
What does the
But yeah, so please do go and check out sort of the RSU website, look at the manifestos, get involved, because we don't want to live in a culture where people don't vote, even if it is just for RSU stuff. But yeah, I won't plug myself in this. I think that's a little unfair. But yeah, please go and have a look. Go and get involved in any way you see fit.
So what
I think you should tell us what your role involves.
Exactly, yes.
My role? Oh, you want me to plug
give us a bit of information.
Okay, fair.
No,
Okay,
well, what would the president of Frobel do?
Sorry?
What would the president of Frobel be involved in? It's not...
They're involved in quite a lot of back-end stuff, so they get involved with the Student Union Council quite a lot and the Student Senate. So they bring the voices of Frobel students to a university sort of level meeting and represent that way. The deputy president is more about events and social and stuff like that, and the president does more sort of back-end diplomacy, kind of making sure that Frobel voices are heard kind of thing.
So you raise the concerns of students, do you?
Yeah, I fight for the things that are going wrong in particular. For example, I've had several spats with accommodation this year over their failings as an organisation.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very important for students.
One personal thing I want to do is make sure that education gets a bit more of a spotlight for you guys, because education, we're the second biggest school on the uni and the biggest school in Frobel, and yet we don't seem to get much time and space, which is a bit unfair. Next year I want to try and get some kind of big third year, yay, we completed our course event like the dancers do, because Frobel forks out about £3,000, £4,000 a year for the dancers' ball, and education doesn't get anything, which is a little bit unfair in my mind. So I'll be fighting for that. If you guys want a big event at the end of the year, that's what we'll be working towards.
I'm there.
Gabby's on board. There you go. I think actually, Fabian, you'll have a lot of people on board for that one, because I didn't know that actually that Frobel paid for that.
Yeah. Well, the dancers buy tickets, which makes up quite a lot of the cost, but the original, it's possible because Frobel stumps the bill to begin with.
Oh, very good. That's good to know. Well, I wish you the very best with your campaign, Fabian.
Thank you.
And hopefully others in the chat here in the Zoom meeting will spread the word.
There's lots of pictures of my mug going around sort of Facebook and Instagram or whatnot right now. So take a look at them. They're sort of semi-professionally made. By that I mean I spent about 8 hours learning how to use Photoshop. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Are there any other questions that if you want to know more, maybe you can contact Fabian about what he's doing?
Yeah. Message me on anything, any social media, email me on student emails, anything.
Super. And in terms of the module, I think just please remember the deadline is 21st of May.
31st?
21st of May is the submission deadline. Oh, you want it to come forward? Do you want to There are all sorts of ramifications and some things that we don't know yet, and that the university is working through. But what we know, you know. So in that sense, we're working on making sure that we're doing what's best for you. All I want to say as program convener here is, please aim to submit all your work, despite everything that you've been getting from the university. Try to submit all your work. If you do have mitigating circumstances, make sure that you let someone know. Talk to your academic guidance tutor. Let your seminar tutors or module conveners know how you're doing. Keep in touch. That way we can support you. What we are doing is working with the university to be as supportive as possible and ensure that you get through and progress into the third year. That means this year regulations have been adapted and been made more flexible and relaxed, but that's our part to get you through. Your part is to submit your work. So please do your best as you would normally. Do your best, submit your work, and let us help you and do the rest when we go to exam boards to see how we can support you to progress. So in this way, we work together. You do your work and we'll do our work, and hopefully you'll get some information also about module selection soon. I've had a meeting with the team yesterday, and we're working on putting something together for everyone. We will have an alternative spotlight event. Excuse me?
Is that a little bit more information on how the modules are going to be, the different modules?
Yep. Oh. So we're going to have an alternative spotlight event, and more of that information will come out, so that we will have slides on modules, information about modules, and staff to talk to about modules for next year. So, our teaching is not the only thing that we're doing. We're doing a lot of things in the background as well. Yeah. But so look out for emails about that too. Okay?
Yeah.
Well, it's really lovely to see you all. I have to go to another Zoom meeting now. Cool. But I look forward to next week. I'll try and schedule it for Thursday, same time, unless I've got another meeting, but I'm going to confirm that. And I will confirm, hopefully today, the arrangements for Moodle, and look out for an email about posters and grades, okay?
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you, Muna.
You're very welcome, Gabby. Take care, Damaris. Nice to see you and hear from you all. Take care. Stay safe.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.